It may look like he enjoys the lavish life of a superstar, but Jelly Roll has led a life of loss, cocaine dealing, fat shaming, and prison, and that was just by the time he was 15. Jason DeFord has been called Jelly Roll for about as long as he can remember. He got the name when he was young, growing up on the streets of Antioch, Tennessee. It's just a stone's throw from downtown Nashville, but Jelly has said that as far as everyday life went, the two couldn't be further apart. I don't think I knew anybody with a real job. I just remember everybody doing drugs. I was in my 20s before I realized that having a drug addict in your family wasn't normal. Well, Jelly has been incredibly candid when it comes to taking ownership of past mistakes. He says that he's also had to struggle with ideas of a toxic environment, blame, and responsibility. He told Billboard that one of his favorite movies was Disney's Cool Runnings for a heartbreaking reason, saying, "Cool Runnings made me understand that sometimes you can do everything right and the sled still breaks. I needed that for the shit I went through in life." When he hit it big and had money to spend, he decided to try to buy his childhood home. The current owner refused his offer, and on the Flagrant podcast, he said it was only then that he realized it wasn't the nice home of his memories. It was really just a shack.
They turned down my money, and my manager was finally like, "What was you going to do?" I was like, "I don't know, go in there and cry, I guess." Have a therapy session.
While countless people have stories of a childhood made more complicated by divorce, Jelly Roll's story takes on some added weight because of other circumstances. His mother and father split when he was 13, and although he was barely a teenager himself and the youngest of his half-siblings, he told Billboard that he suddenly found himself taking on the role of provider and caregiver as he remained with his mother. Jelly has credited his mother with instilling a love of music in him, but he's also said that she had her own struggles with substance abuse.
I mean, she's a great woman, good mother, but she was clearly a woman who was struggling with drugs and mental health.
With his father out of the picture in many ways, Jelly said that he felt he was the one who needed to step up and both care for his mother and provide for the family. He explained, "When he left, I was like, somebody's got to do what he was doing, at least trying to figure out some money." That meant dealing drugs while he was trying to get a music career started.
So even when I was in the streets selling drugs, I was passing out mixtapes with quarter ounces of cocaine.
Jelly Roll's father sold meat and had a side hustle as a bookie, and growing up in that environment, a young Jelly saw few choices for his own future. He told Billboard, "As f***ed up as this may sound, there were drug dealers and drug users. I wanted to be the guy getting money, not the guy losing it." That life took him down a road that led to years in and out of juvenile detention facilities and jails. He was 15 years old when he participated in an armed robbery, and even though he was so young, he was charged and convicted as an adult. He told People that it was a wake-up call, saying, "I just realized that was the most impactful thing that ever happened in my life, and the darkest moments of my life were still being that 15-year-old scared kid spending Thanksgiving away from his family." The results have continued to be catastrophic. His felony charge means that he can't do much volunteer work, can't vote, and isn't eligible to buy life insurance.
As a 38, 39-year-old man, I was just turned down a house because the community wouldn't let me be a part of the golf course because of my felonies.
A lot of rappers choose their own stage names, but Jelly Roll got his name from his mom.
She started calling me Jelly Roll when I was young, and I spent the next 30 years trying to grow into the name. I think I've done it.
Although he sometimes takes a lighthearted view of it, he's also spoken about how he struggled with weight management and how it's impacted his mental health. He said that he remembered always being bullied for his weight. In 2019, he posted a video on Facebook asking for recommendations for a nutritionist and personal trainer, writing, "Obesity is something I've truly dealt with my entire life. I've spent most of my life sad and depressed, and I can say 90% of the reason is because of my obesity." In an Instagram post, Jelly also spoke about the connection between his diagnosis of manic depression and his fluctuating weight, saying he had long struggled with a pattern of crash dieting and weight gain, feelings of hopelessness, embarrassment, and depression. He came face to face with that when he started to break into mainstream music, telling the Los Angeles Times, "Somebody told me I was too fat to be relatable. They said it a little nicer. Not much. I mean, it's hard to say that nice." In 2024, Congress welcomed an unlikely speaker.
How y'all doing this morning?
Jelly gave an impassioned speech about the dangers of fentanyl, and he knew firsthand what the stakes were. He shared that he had attended dozens of funerals for people who died from drug use.
This committee, I could sit here and cry for days about the caskets I've carried of people I loved dearly, deeply, in my soul, good people.
Jelly added that he had to come to terms with the fact that he had played a vital role in the addictions in his own community as a dealer.
I was a part of the problem. I am here now standing as a man that wants to be a part of the solution.
He's also been candid on the impacts that's had, saying that there were plenty of times that he found himself face-to-face with survivor's guilt. During his appearance before Congress, Jelly Roll also talked about the next generation, specifically someone incredibly close to him.
Now I have a 15-year-old daughter whose mother is a drug addict. Every day I get to look in the eyes of a victim in my household.
He went on to say that he was haunted by the knowledge that there was a very real possibility that he would someday have to tell his daughter that her mother had lost her life to addiction. In a 2020 Facebook post, he revealed that while he and his wife had full custody of daughter Bailey, they were also supporting Bailey's mother in her journey through rehab and sobriety. When Jelly's wife, Bunny XO, interviewed Bailey on her podcast, she talked about how in 2020 she had started trying to rebuild a relationship with her mother. When they spent time together over the summer, though, she went from thinking it was cool that her mother let her experiment with alcohol and marijuana to being upset that she then pressured her to try harder drugs.
Had a really terrible summer.
Fortunately, she told Jelly and Bunny, and they were able to get her the help she needed. Done right, tattoos can be a breathtakingly personal display of artistry. Done wrong, and there's a good chance they might lead to not only regret, but an up-close and personal experience with the painful science of tattoo removal. For someone like Jelly Roll, who's literally covered in tattoos, that might just not be an easy option.
What happened to my face?
In an interview with GQ, Jelly Roll gave an honest look at his tattoos and said that he hated most of them. I regret 98% of these tattoos, 97%, almost all of them. Like core philosophies that I rooted my life in when I was 17 and now I'm 40 and I'm like, what the f was I thinking? While some, like the smoking baby on his arm, he just unconditionally doesn't like, there are some that came from a deeply personal place. His very first tattoo he got when he was just 14 years old, and it's a cross in the memory of a beloved neighborhood icon who passed away after being diagnosed with AIDS. He's done cover-ups on some of his biggest regrets, including a neck tattoo that was supposed to read "Surviving the Struggle."
But we had forgot to put the T in it, so it said "Surviving the Struggle."
He did say that the cross on his cheek is his most meaningful. Even though Jelly Roll's parents divorced when he was 13 and he lived with his mother, he remained close to his father. He shared some wonderful family photos on social media that made it obvious just how much love there was between them. And when COVID hit, the grief of losing his father after a diagnosis of leukemia was still fresh. Horace DeFord died on March 20th, 2019, and on the one-year anniversary of his death, Jelly wrote on Instagram, "I still pick up the phone and dial his old number. I miss him every day. Today's a rough one. Hug your dad for me today if you can. I sure wish I could hug mine." Jelly has been candid about the depths that grief can take a person to, posting a video on Facebook in which he visited the site of an old hospice facility for a film shoot. It was a week since his father's death, and he said that he saw a literal sign, his father's name on one of the doors, and knew that it was his father reaching out.
The last thing I said to him as he was dying was, "Send me a sign."
He's continued to post tributes to his father on significant occasions, like the day that would have been his 77th birthday. Jelly wrote on Facebook, "He was my best friend. He taught me how to live, and later in life, he taught me how to die." From making his own mixtapes to becoming a YouTube sensation with no big label behind him, Jelly Roll is proof that with talent and determination, the sky's the limit. In an interview with the Los Angeles Times, he shared what it was that made him want to go even bigger. He was playing in front of a few hundred people in a show, seeing the impact his songs had, and he wanted the chance to touch even more lives. It's safe to say that he got it, but it hasn't gone to his head. In comparing himself to a few other singer-songwriters, he said, "We're not the best singers, you know what I mean? We're a long way from the beautiful voices of Chris Stapleton or Chris Young. It's way more gritty, but I think it's filling a necessary void." It's nice to think that a lifetime of struggle has resulted in the unconditional enjoyment of success, but that's not the case. In an interview with The Guardian, he admitted that he had suffered from imposter syndrome for a long time, and that it kept him from perhaps fully acknowledging the fact that he had earned and deserved the accolades. While talking about his 2023 album Wits at Chapel, he said, "I see myself as a broken man that's trying to put the pieces of the puzzle back together. I looked at the whole experience as a cry for help, and it was heard. The music represents so many people that haven't felt heard."